Hello and welcome to The Journey. Last time we were talking about a dream that I had, which was really a dream about transition. And I was referencing how a dream is a gift that keeps on giving, because specifically in this dream, it was referencing where I currently was in life. It gave me a flashback into the past, what I have come out of, and it also gave me a glimpse into the future, where I was going. I'm sure you've had dreams like that as well. And I pray that as we're talking today, that some of the dreams that you've had will come up in your heart and mind, and that God will begin to reveal and unfold nuggets and encouragement from those dreams that you can hold on to as well. So in this dream, just to recap, and I'll post the video here or here, and you can go back and look at it later if you missed that one. But in the dream, I was in a pool with a lot of people that I knew that I was in community with, and we were all having a good time. There was a lot of activity, a lot of joy, excitement, and fellowship. And in the next scene of the dream, I was waking up. Apparently, I had fallen asleep because I was having such a good time in the pool. But when I woke up, I realized everyone was gone. I mean, everyone was gone. There was not a soul left in the building. And by the way, I was in an indoor pool, so the pool was inside of a building. And no one was there. And not only that, but the pool was drained. There wasn't any water even left in the pool. And I was afraid because I knew that it was so late, like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and no one was there, and I couldn't just stay there forever. So I figured I was going to have to venture out into the parking lot so I could leave, and I was going to be all by myself. And that really did scare me. And by the end of the dream, a person that I knew, a leader in my life, came in with a group of people. And that sight just brought such relief to me because I knew I wasn't by myself, but it also brought excitement because I could feel this connection with the group that they brought in with them. And also I noticed on the clock that it was only 11 o'clock. It wasn't as late at night as I thought it was. So in the last video, we talked about how, if you find yourself all alone, you find yourself in a place that was once thriving with activity, and now it kind of seems like it has ended, like it's died. Well, it's just a transition. There's no need to panic, no need to freak out, no need to get frantic and start trying to fill up life with more activities and something that feels familiar. It's really just a season. So we're going to talk today about how we can embrace those quiet seasons of transition. So in my dream, like I said, I woke up, everybody was gone, the pool was empty, and I really did feel afraid, but I wasn't ready to go outside yet. But I noticed that there were these clumps of salt on the bottom of the pool. And it was that salt that you put in water. I think it softens the water or cleans it or something like that. Either way, it was a dream, so it really doesn't have to make sense. But I saw these clumps that were sitting at the bottom of the pool, and I thought to myself, well, I might as well, be productive while I'm here. And I started to scoop those clumps of salt down the drain. And that was an element of the dream that really didn't make sense to me for quite a while. But once again, a dream is a gift that keeps on giving. So over time, as my journey continued and I was in this season of an empty pool, it started to dawn on me that getting rid of this salt in my dream, or whatever the clumps were, was in a sense like getting rid of extra stuff in my life. It really was an opportunity to step back, look at things and say, you know what, these things may not be bad, but I might not need them anymore, because the salt wasn't dirty. There was nothing dirty about it, nasty, or like it needed to go in the garbage. It was still gleaming white. I remember that clearly. It was gleaming white, and it really didn't seem like there was anything wrong with it. But since there was no water in the pool anymore, it just wasn't necessary. And so there are things in our lives that were beneficial for a time and for a season. But now for where we are, or at least where we're going, because we probably don't even know where we're going yet, but we know we're in that transition time, it's an opportunity for us to scoop some of that stuff and push it down the drain. Not that it was bad, we just don't need it anymore right now. It could be mindsets, it could be beliefs, it could be relationships, it could be hobbies, it could be commitments that we've made to different organizations, which at one time we were lively about and we were invigorated to do it, and it really was productive and it was flowing together with life and what we had going on. But now it's just not that way anymore. So when we enter into those quiet seasons, when we're in transition, it really is an opportunity to reevaluate and get rid of some stuff. Even though it's not bad, we might not need it anymore. I move these clumps of salt down the drain. Now, that's one thing that we can do when we're in those seasons of transition and we're in that place of a seemingly less community and less activity and less things going on in our life. But I really want to focus on how beautiful, really, those seasons are for us, because it's in those quiet times that we really come to a place where we don't just begin to really know ourselves, but we really begin to know God even deeper as well. You know, our relationship with God is so priceless and so powerful, because the more we know Him, the more we know ourselves, and the more we can express His image in the earth, because we are created in His image. And it's His goal and His desire to live out His expression through the unique identity that He's given each one of us. So if you want to hear more about identity, we also have an identity playlist, which will be included in this video as well. But we've talked about that at great length before, so we won't go over that again today. But in those seasons of transition where life seems quiet, we really can hone in on who we are, removed from the structure and from the scaffolding that our life had been built on in previous seasons. Start moving some of that stuff out of the way, start getting it down the drain, so that we can really be in a place of freedom. We can be in a place of peace and of quiet, and even start to hear our own thoughts. We can even start to hear our own heart. And when we do, God speaks to us heart to heart. He speaks to us directly, because there is no in between. There's no go-between person anymore. Christ has torn the veil. We are in Christ. We're one with Him in spirit, so He can speak to us directly. And when we move some of those things out of the way, then we can hear from God in a way that we haven't heard from Him before. And we can become more and more established and settled in our lives. And not only does that prepare us for the next season, and it's good to think of that, but you know, I really am trying to train myself not to just be thinking about what's coming next, what's coming next, what's coming next, because really all we have is the present. That's really all we can lay hold of, is where we are right now. So even beyond thinking, how is this going to help me for my next season and where I'm going and all that kind of stuff, I'm just looking at today. Am I enjoying God's presence today? Am I more and more established in who He is and who He's created me to be today? Am I aware of what's going on with my family and my loved ones and engaging with them today? Am I tuned in to my environment and the atmosphere around me right now, today, in this moment, with all the distractions moved out of the way, with all the busyness gone? I can hear the wind blow. I can hear the birds sing. I can hear my own thoughts. I can hear the voice of God. I can feel my own heart beat and see what is God placed on the inside of me that He wants to express in the earth. It may not fit a mold that's been handed down to me, but it surely will bring joy and delight to the heart of our Father, for He gives us the desires of our heart. What a beautiful place of quietness to be in when we're in those quiet seasons of transition. So if you, like me, like I was in that dream, you know, in the past, it was giving me a glimpse into the past of the community that I had. And then it was showing me where I was at the moment. But, you know, even though the pool was empty, it was just a season. There was no need to panic or be afraid. And not only was it just a season, but in that moment, I could actually take the opportunity to get rid of some stuff, to hear my own thoughts, to tune into God, to let my own heart beat, let my desires come forth and see what He wants to do in me. Those seasons of quietness are so beautiful, because they bring us into a place where we are centered within ourselves and even more firmly established in our relationship with God. And yes, beyond just allowing us to live in the moment, in the present, it does prepare us for tomorrow. You know, sometimes when we look at Paul and we look at all the writings, and, you know, he wrote the majority of the New Testament, all the letters that he wrote, all the revelation and the things that we stand on and hold fast to today. Well, do we remember that he spent several years away all by himself? After he encountered Jesus, he didn't go straight and start writing letters. He didn't go right out and start planting churches. And sometimes we think that that season was insignificant because it wasn't recorded. But I believe that the only reason he had something to record was because he spent some seasons in quiet. He spent some years in isolation. He encountered Jesus, and then he stayed in a place of isolation where he was able to build upon that relationship, that initial encounter that he had with Jesus. And then years later, when he did come out and join with the church that was already active, with the other apostles, now he actually had something to say. Now he had something to write. But would he even have had that if he hadn't spent that time in quiet seasons of transition? I wonder. So if you're in a quiet season of transition, embrace it. It is a beautiful, beautiful place, and it will create a foundation in your life that you're able to live from for the next season until you go through another transition again. But let that foundation be laid so deeply and so strongly, and let it be such a time of enjoyment and beauty and grace so that you're able to walk out that next season with power, so that you have power for your relationships, power for your business, power for your ministry, power for whatever it is that God has for you to do and for you to be. You'll have the strength and the ability to do it because you embraced those quiet seasons of transition. God bless you. We'll talk again next time. We're going to add on just a little bit about how we can move into that next season through our transition. And we'll talk a little bit more about how to embrace the tribe that God is sending to us and how to prepare for that place. Thank you so much for joining me today. God bless you. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.